all the difference. The best way to predict future is to create it. Take a move. Create a future. Join Shobit University.
As a young citizen of India, armed with technology, knowledge, and love for my nation, with a vision of transforming India into a developed nation, I'm joining Shobit University. What about you?
Namaskar. Very good afternoon. Respected speaker of the session, Dr. Rakshita Bahuguna, Deans, HODs, faculty, students, and participants. I welcome you all here at this platform of co-learning webinar series. The topic the school has been taken is quite relevant and touches everybody's life. Now, today the topic we have taken, how to plan to initiate your dream startup, is very important. In a country like India, facing the problems of overpopulation, unemployment, brain drain, etc., efforts of the present government are commendable when every individual understands the importance of skill development and the project Make in India. So there's a need to change the mindset, and the concept think out of the box is very much required. We have with us Dr. Rakshita, who will share all the plans and the strategy, how to initiate a dream startup in detail. Before I invite her, I wish to introduce her in brief. Dr. Rakshita Bahuguna ji is founder director of Future Icons Group. She is co-author of Professor Rao Career Coaching. She is known for her extensive experience in the field of entrepreneurship, education, training, skill development, faculty development, career coaching, and research. She has been associated with the Office of Honorable Education Minister, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank as an advisor from January 2020 to July 2021. She has been associated with FIED. I am Kashipur Uttarakhand as a startup expert, a visiting faculty for entrepreneurship and India towards self-reliance, Central University of Odisha, a visiting faculty in Sri Padmavati Mahila Vidyalaya, Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh, for innovation, incubation, and entrepreneurship activities. She has been a speaker with Impact Program, AICT for training engineering students for internship. She has conducted trainings in IIT BHU, IIM Trichy, NIITR Chennai, IIM Kashipur, NIT Trichy, MNIT Jaipur, NIT Uttarakhand, NIT Goa, IIT Kota, IIT Bhagalpur, NIT Warangal, SPS School of Planning and Architecture Vijayawada, SRM University, NMIMS Mumbai, Patanjali University, Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth, Shastra University, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri, National Sanskrit University, Nehru University, Central University of Odisha, Chandigarh University, Punjab University, Chandigarh School of Planning and Architecture, Vijayawada, and myriad other universities and colleges and schools. And the topic of training, actually the list is very long, our experience is extensive, and I would mention only a few topics she has taken: entrepreneurship development, academic leadership, social issues, women empowerment, design thinking, innovation, soft skills, faculty development, blended learning, teacher education, innovative teaching, techniques, online learning, sustainable development, career coaching, sustainability, educational administration, green education, leadership development, internship, employability, emotional intelligence, new education policy, Atmanirbhar Bharat, entrepreneur, faculty of higher education. So the list is again very long, and I would make it short. So before I say other things, without wastage of time, I would like to invite Madam. Please share your scholarly vision with us and throw light on the planning and strategy, how to initiate our dream setup. Please, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Gunjan Agarwal, and it's my honor to get a chance to speak to the students and faculty in the Shobit University. So in the list, I'll be adding Shobhit University the next time whenever I send anywhere. And this is my first chance to talk to the students of liberal arts. I've discussed a lot, and nowadays many students ask me at times that, how about liberal arts? What are the career prospects for the liberal arts students? And my only answer would be, go for entrepreneurship, because initiating something is the best way. So if you are not getting a job, create a job. I just heard Shobhit University used this sentence, best way to make a change is to create it. So the best way to get a job is to create it. So you can create a job. Say there's something that you can do. Now there are certain mistakes that people do, which are the basic reasons for the failures, and then they say that it is risky. Then the guidance that our final year students or the students looking for the jobs or the people who are looking to start their career get is, do a job. It is secured. Now, why it is secured? Because it has a framework. And for entrepreneurship, we have never been educated enough to create that framework for ourselves. There are certain ways, there are certain do's and don'ts that if we obey those, we'll be able to do it. We just see that part of entrepreneurship, which is above the earth, just like the plant. And the root, the hard work that is required, the planning, the strategies that is required for the roots to grow is something that we miss. So today I'm going to talk about those roots, how you can initiate it, how you can sow the seeds and wait till it germinates, it comes out of the earth. So we'll be talking about that, and for that I'll be sharing my screen and taking you through the presentation. Ma'am has introduced me, and let me tell you that I have learned this entrepreneurship with my education and with my experience. Both has added to all the presentations that I am doing, and now this is my new venture, the new venture that I'll be launching soon with the name of Unbox Entrepreneurship under Future Icons. And this unboxing entrepreneurship means how you can be an entrepreneur. My study and my understanding for all the courses that I've seen was, even my research topic was entrepreneurship education, and that is why I can say it with more conformity that the education that the students get even in their MBAs is good enough for the corporate jobs. It does not teach them how to start small and then grow big. It does not teach them how to do customer discovery, how to meet the customers even before making the product. It teaches them the way how the product can be made, and then look for the customers. There are certain sciences which are involved. There are certain things which are involved that we'll be discussing today. I'll be showing you and telling you how we can unbox the entrepreneurship, and I'll take you along. I'll take you to this journey with me of unboxing entrepreneurship. And obviously the first stage is to think, to plan the strategy. Most of the software people say we need 80% of planning and strategy and 20% of implementation. The same thing goes with entrepreneurship. The 80% of the plan is always a hidden part. And this hidden part is something that we always miss. As a student, as a student of entrepreneurship education, which I have been, as a person who has practiced entrepreneurship for last 20 years and created my own organization, which has done both work in the field of education and in social work as well. I'm giving you all the inputs that are required to initiate this startup. As I've already said, this was a part of my research as well, my PhD as well, and it said that there are two aspects related to entrepreneurship education. One is business creation and the other is skill development. Skill development is developing an individual. So you need to be developed. You need to have certain skills, attitude, and knowledge to develop your own business. And after that, how you create that business is the second part. And we need a combination of two. I'll try to cover both the aspects in all the topics that I take from here, so that you know what are the aspects that are needed by an entrepreneur and what are the things that he needs to create the business. So the whole rest of the study, our whole presentation would be giving you an idea of all of these. First thing first, and you have decided, you have chosen to come to this webinar today. And this is an informed decision. I believe many of your friends, your knowns, your family are enjoying partying the weekend. But you took a decision to come to this webinar, attend it, and learn how to initiate. So you have already taken the first decision, and I must congratulate you on taking a good decision. So a decision which might help you in your future. If you start, it will help you. If you don't start, and if you start working with some corporate, it will help you to understand how it has been grown. What are the things going, how the decisions are being made by the management or the founders. You will understand them. And once you understand them, you can obviously work the way you want to work. My part of the story has been, every time I have talked about my education or my career, my father used to ask me, Turache. Turache means, who are you? What are you? So looking at what are you, I knew I want to do some leadership, and I can't listen to the people. So I wanted to do my own business. I never wanted to do a job. That is my story. So I had two aims. Number one, entrepreneurship, when I started, I had to struggle. And basically my story, there have been all the mistakes that an entrepreneur can make. I have already made all of them. And I've already corrected all of them, learned all of them, implemented all of them for myself, and got some success. And that gave me the credentials to come here and give you those mistakes that I did and tell you how I implemented that, corrected it and implemented those, so that you can do the same. So I have two aims here. Number one is to bring entrepreneurship to education. Education is lacking the entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship to the education, and I have tried it. Even the new education policy has a part in it, and I have really tried to put it there. And secondly, to educate the entrepreneur. So they need education. They need a different education than the formal education that is being given. They don't need MBAs. They need entrepreneurship education, which is different from the MBA. Most of the time, whenever I ask some university to give me an entrepreneurial lecture, initially they used to ask me, okay, you go and take a lecture with MBA students. Then after some time, I used to request them, no, I don't want MBA students. I want all these students, because the science student, a science graduate, a liberal art, humanities student, he has a problem, she has a problem. They don't know even the vocabulary of entrepreneurship. What are the terms needed by the company? Then they struggle and they make mistakes, and then their struggle delays their success. And once the success is delayed, we say it is risky, it is difficult, leave it, don't go for entrepreneurship, opt for some job that is a better way, secure job, and many myths that we have already seen. We need to educate the entrepreneur. We need to take education to the entrepreneur so that they know how and what of everything. And Unbox Entrepreneurship is part of Educate the Entrepreneur initiative that I am taking. Within this, you must be wondering what is there in for me. So within this presentation, I'll be talking about why to start a startup, journey of a startup entrepreneur, what are the risks associated with the startup, secret of startup success, and 10 steps to prepare the startup. These 10 steps will definitely de-risk the elements that we have been facing. I've already talked, there is a dilemma after graduation because you are the students in a university. So this dilemma is there. Should I go for a corporate job or should I do a startup? So the way they work is different. The way an entrepreneur or a person who's doing a job is different. Number one, the person who looks for a job has a consistent and strict working hours. Whereas the person who's going to start a startup, he has a free-spirited and irregular way of doing works. The way I do is, I must tell you, at times I work 22 hours a day. And at times I sleep 22 hours a day or go and have fun. because my working hours are very different. I work according to the need of the things that I want to do. Or I consistently give 1 hour daily, and then depending on the work I have. That makes a difference. That is how I do. And even every entrepreneur has this liberty of doing it. Authority. So for a person who's going to be who's going to get employment, he's answerable to the boss. Whereas if you are the person who is going to do the startup, you are the boss. And that is a motivation for many. Skills. A corporate person or an employee has to be a specialist or perfectionist because he knows his work best. He is a part of the assembly line, and wherever he is working, he is best at that. An entrepreneur has to do multitasking and multifunctional person. He has to wear many hats and work for everything. It won't be exaggeration if I say he's a jack of all the trades, because he has to do everything. P2P, in simple language, we say he's P2P, he's peon to president, everything of his organization initially. And after that, things change, and then he makes the company. For a employee, time is money. Whereas for a startup, time is not money. Your work is something that you do and you earn later. It might happen that there are irregular incomes, and that is something that causes risk, and we need to de-risk these elements. So if this is a dilemma with you, let me show you how you can think if startup is for you or not. These are certain words, and I would request you, those of you who can see at least 5, which you do not correlate with. Correlate means either you don't have these or you don't want to achieve these or get these in life. If you have 5 of them, just write me. I want to see if there are people who can see at least 5 words. If there are 5 things which you think are not for you, or something that neither you want to achieve nor you have, 5 words only out of all these, because all these are something which are required by the entrepreneurship. A person who wants to be an entrepreneur likes autonomy, loves freedom, is creative, adds value, does network, make decision, multiply growth, explore things. He has strategy, abundance, and people want to do. And at times, if they don't have these, they want to do it. If you can find 5 things that you neither have nor you want to achieve, then entrepreneurship is not for you. You better go for a job first. But if you have less than 5, then yes, you are at a correct place. You are at a place where you will get something today, and you will get something to take away to start your business and get your things done. Just the 5 words will make a difference. You just need to see all of these and see if you can find 5 words that you do not correlate with, then entrepreneurship or a startup is not for you. Let's move ahead, because I think I'll not be able to chat with the people for now. Gunjan ma'am, will they be able to answer in the chat?
Actually, there is no provision for chatting, but if you ask any question, then participants can reply.
They can reply.
Chat box, only through chat box.
Okay. So if there are 5 students, if there are students who can see 5 words which they do not correlate with it, please write, yes, I do not correlate, or I, DNC. DNC means do not correlate. I, DNC. If you can see 5 words that you do not correlate.
I request you participants.
So I believe all our participants want to do a startup. They are looking for something to start and do a business. So the workshop is for you, and we have a right audience today. Let's move to the next Next slide. So we don't have anybody. So the book is on the career coaching for the people who are confused. So there is nothing for you today. You are there at a correct place, at a place where you'll be unboxing the entrepreneurship. For the entrepreneurship, there are two motivations. Number one is intrinsic factor and the other is extrinsic factors. Again, this is from my study. That is, I've written my research. I'm taking the pride of my research. So intrinsic factors are the one which are internal to the person. So when we say entrepreneurial skills, these are the intrinsic factors. And the extrinsic factors is ease of doing business that Startup India has given us, or Make in India, or there has been this, during the COVID, there has been this 20,000 crore subsidy that was given, and the change in MSME rules and change in income tax rules for the business people. So all this were the extrinsic factor. They were giving an environment or an ecosystem for an entrepreneur to grow. So both the factors are motivating. You need to identify what is your factor, how you are going to be motivated. But one thing is for sure, in absence of extrinsic factors, somebody can be an entrepreneur. If you don't have intrinsic factors, if you are not keen, if you don't have all the skills, or you are not leading the things, then you cannot start a startup, or your startup would definitely fail. Intrinsic factors are more important than extrinsic factors. A startup can begin. Tata started. When did they start? We never had ease of doing business at that time, but still they could sustain because intrinsic factors were there. If you have those intrinsic factors, you can start your business. So intrinsic factors are the factors and the skills that we have. And we have already seen we couldn't find 5 words that do not motivate us. So you already have the intrinsic factors. Let me show you a few extrinsic ones. Statistics support the startups nowadays because with 71.133 startups, the USA is leading country by a number of startups and India comes second. So we have got a good number of, already got a good number of startups. And if we have got those many startups, it means we have a good ecosystem. We have a place where the startups can work and begin or be initiated. In a survey, the research, that research I have collected from somewhere, around 80% of the Indians believe that there are good opportunities to start a business in their area of expertise, in their area of work. So if they can look for an opportunity, it means startup, there is a way we can start. There is a need, there is a motivation, there is a way we can do, and this is something that is for us. Again, it has been presumed that the annual GDP growth is 7.7 between 2001 and 2024, and it is because of the startup boom that is taking up. In 2021, Indian startups have raised $42 billion, which is like during COVID. I should say this, it is during the COVID. It means how the startups are booming, how the culture is booming in India. So if the ecosystem and culture is booming, there is a space for you. There is always a space where we can start. 4 new unicorns were identified in India in 2021. 4 new unicorns. You know what is a unicorn? Unicorn is when they have 1 billion turnover. 1 billion turnover. If they can have this 4 new. And in 2022, in the first 6 months, already 83 unicorns has been identified. And this is the speed and rate of increasing startups. You can imagine, I can give you an example. In 1991, when Dr. Manmohan Singh gave the new liberalization, privatization policy to India, that time we never met anybody who was working in a corporate. We had people who were working in the government sectors. Nowadays, you know, corporate is an aim. Corporate is the only aim that people have. We find very less people with the government, aiming for a government job. the culture changed and most of the people opted for corporate jobs. Similar way, the startups are booming nowadays. So most of the people are going to opt for startup. And these are the statistics that support that, yes, there is a scope for a startup and we can work on that. We should try our hand. And if we have proper education and guidance, then it is already going to boom us or help us to grow. Because the statista says there could be more unicorns in the years to come. So that is a silver lining in the cloud, and we can obviously opt for a startup. I'm not going to the statistical details because we have to see the 10 steps. But before that, we need to understand the journey of an entrepreneur. Believe me, journey of each and every entrepreneur, whether he's resourceful, whether they have wealth or not. They might be from a family where there is already a business. Then in that case, he's not a startup. He already has a support and ecosystem, and he's starting a small within that organization. So the framework is already there. But when you start from zero, from scratch, every entrepreneur has a same journey, and this is the ABCD of an entrepreneur, or the journey of an entrepreneur. A is attempt. This is a stage when person thinks, I need to start. He does not have any business idea. He does not have any idea of what they want to do. But yes, I want to do something. He doesn't have that definition of that something. This is a place you can say when the people are there in a restaurant with their friends and writing on a tissue paper, I will go to the moon. I'll take people to the moon, the way Elon Musk did. That statement is an attempt statement. That is the first statement that an entrepreneur does. Once he has crossed the attempt stage, next comes the bear stage. Bear stage is when the person bears the burden of the startup. He's unable to give results. He's unable to understand what to do, how to do. But yes, they are working on whatever comes, whenever it comes, and they're doing everything, trying hard. They are not taking any money home. And 90% of the startups fail at this bear stage because they're not taking any money home. But the 10% which has to succeed, move to the next stage, which is a committed stage. They have resilience, they have determination, they move on, they keep working, they have grit to work. But they are working as a self-employed person or a very, very small partnership or a very small company where there are one or two employees only. And there they lack the people management. They always have people, I'm not getting customers, I'm not getting employees, I'm not getting retailers, I'm not getting wholesalers. So these are the companies at a committed stage. They are committed. They have identified that what they need to do, but they don't have that people skill to manage everything together. And once they learn this people skill, the committed stage, they move to the dominion stage. At a dominion stage, one person is the owner and others work. So all the decisions are taken by that person who's an entrepreneur, who's a founder, who's a startup. Here there are 50 to 100 people in the company. And they have a centralized decision making. They have a clear plan, but they lack strategy to scale. They earn money, they earn good money, they take away good to their home, but that's not still a stage where we can say it can scale up to the level, or we can call them the sharks, the people who come for the sharks. These shark people, who are they people? They are the people who could scale their business beyond the dominion stage. That is the escalate stage. So where they have a strategy to work, a proper strategy, a decentralized decision making. They have a different CTO for the technical things. They have a different CEO. Then they have operational COO for operations. They have everything is properly defined. Every system and function is properly defined, and they are working. They have a network of people to work with, and they have proper strategies to get the customers to escalate, move beyond the boundaries. That is the stage. And that's it. Every person moves on. Every entrepreneur goes through these stages. You cannot escape any. What you can do is you can either increase or decrease the timeline of these stages. So few people take longer time and others take less. That is the only thing which can happen for an entrepreneur. Those who are well educated or trained or coached or who knows the ways, they can decrease this timeline. They can decrease it. They can move from attempt to behavior to committed to dominion at a faster rate. And only 4% people who start the startup move to escalate stage. Let us see how many of us can do that. Now, if this is a journey that an entrepreneur can take, who is this journey for? Final year student. I don't mind even first year, second year trying it. The postgraduates, fresh graduates, the youth, aspiring entrepreneurs, self-employed who are already doing something but needs to move on. The researchers, the way I implemented my research and made a business out of it. I want all the people to get it patented and get this done. I have designed a course where I can help people do this. Anyone who wishes to start a business, entrepreneurs who wish to start afresh because there are many failures. So after failure, you need to stand up again and start again. Ambitious homemakers and early stage startups. These are the people who will go through this journey. Now, the next, a very common thing. What are the risks associated with startups? Everybody says there are many risks associated with the startup, and startup means risk. So let us see what are the risks. Lack of skills is the first. And the most important one is lack of people skill. People skill means business is nothing but people's management. You have to manage people. You need to learn emotional intelligence. And that is something that is lacking most of the time. People who know how to manage people, they never take the risk. So lack of people skill is the problem. There have been many failures also. So I can tell you, I've already told you 90% has already, like, new startups fail, and there are many other statistics that I'm again moving and leaving these statistics to cover more important things. What are the common reasons to fail? Number one, legal problems. Just 2% people fail because of legal problems. Operation problems, 2%. 6% people have technical problems. Finance. 16% say they don't have finance. They go out of cash. They do not manage their cash flow. That is the problem. That causes the problem, and that causes the failure. 34% people lack of product market fit. Means they don't do proper marketing research before launching the product. That is the problem. That is the problem of the process. 22% people do not do good marketing. That is why marketing is a problem. And 18% think team is a problem. So if you solve your people's skills you have, if you solve many of your problems and processes, you can de-risk these problems, these failure reasons. The 5 reasons that I have identified is unaware of actual foundations of startup. Actual foundations of startup, the cash flow, managing cash flow, marketing research, and collaborations. We'll be discussing these. Startup is different from the big corporates. Understanding that the things that, a big fish can move in the ocean, but the same fish cannot survive in the lake. The vice versa is also true. So we train the big fishes and then we expect them to start and stay in the lake, and they die at the attempt stage. That is what is needed. That is what is needed for us to learn. We need to work on, understand this first. It is different. Lack of formal education for startups. There is no formal education for startups. There is education only for business management. So already existing, how to manage the existing business. How to build the business is something which is not taught. lack of resourcefulness. People say, I don't have money, I don't have network, I don't have something. They lack resources. Resourcefulness means you don't have everything in yourself, but you have ways to get things done. That is resourcefulness. So if you have resourcefulness, you can succeed. And the financial risk that we have already discussed. There are 5 secrets to succeed in a startup. Number 1, your focus is more important than your time. Most of the time people think I will negotiate my time for money. That is something a person in job does. If you need to focus on one thing, there is one thing that you concentrate and you do, and then you leave every other thing. If you can do that, because focus doesn't mean saying yes to one thing. Focus means because of that one thing, you are saying no to many other things. You are prioritizing your things properly. So the focus is more important. Secondly, be prepared to invest wisely. We people don't know what is the difference between investing and spending. Investing means something that is needed, and spending is on something that we want. There's a difference between need and want. So people most of the time spend money on getting a big business, opening a big office, and then they go out of cash soon. They can start small. That is something that you need to know. But yes, for starting, there are times where you need to invest. You cannot say we don't have money. You need to invest wisely. So the wisely is again very important that you need to see. Next, people think I can work it out. I'll find a way out. So it looks like you are inventing the wheel again. What is the need to invent the wheel again? You have to work on the system and build your own system, because the system works and people fail. So you need to have a proper way, a route to go somewhere. That route is something which is very important. Making that road. To make that road, again, you have a way to make that road. So everything is important. You have to work on the systems to build your own systems. We have already seen businesses, people's management, and lack of emotional intelligence is something which causes problems. So work on your emotional intelligence. Stay calm and know how to respond to the things instead of reacting to the things. Next, most of the time we negotiate time and we think that our valuation and worth increases with time. This is the graph that we expect would happen to us, but it does not actually happens every time, because our valuation does not depend on money, or it does not depend upon the time or hard work that we do. What it depends upon is the milestones that we achieve. It depends upon the results that we get. And this is how the valuation increase. It does not go straight. Every milestone adds to our valuation, adds to our worth. I've identified 8 milestones that an entrepreneur needs to cover. Number 1, have you identified the problem? If yes, then you move ahead of your valuation, and your valuation goes to the next stage, where is your solution effective? Because if you have identified the problem, you have a solution. Is it effective? If your answer is again yes, then you move on. Will anyone buy? If you have yes, then you move ahead. Will plenty of people buy? Because maybe you can convince 1 or 2 people, but you cannot convince many of them. So will plenty of them buy? If the answer is yes, again you move to the next. Can salesmen sell? It's always easy for the founder because he has a passion and he has everything. Can this be repeated by the salesman? Can the person, a non-founder, sell it? Is the next. If the answer is yes, then you move on to the next. Is it repeatable? Can you repeat the whole process? If the answer is yes, is it scalable? Can you scale it? If the answer is yes, then you move. Is it scalable, profitable? Because profit is also the motive. How to increase? So every step is more important. Every step, and you need to look at. You can easily see these are ABCDEs of an entrepreneur, the journey. You need to have yes at every stage. But what we do is we start working at, can salesman sell it? We don't identify the problem, neither do we have solution. I have this, I want to sell this, can salesman sell this? And that is why we fail, because we are starting at this 5th step of the ladder. And if you directly try to jump that, there you know the answer. We always move from the first step, and every step is important. The story always starts with the 0. Counting always starts at 1. So you need to work. Next, very important, people take risk, calculate probabilities. People take risk because they start at the, can salesman sell it? If you are an entrepreneur, you know how to calculate the probability or de-risk it, because you already know the steps that you need to move. I've given you these. These are the 5 secrets that I've given you. Number 1, your focus is more important than your time. Be prepared to invest wisely. Work on systems to build your own system. Work on your emotional intelligence and don't take risk. Now there are 6 pillars to precede your startup. First is self-education, customer, minimum viable product, business model, and product service. How do we move on this? Let us see. Wow, the way we see the 10 steps is, we see an entrepreneur, then we see the idea that an entrepreneur has, the problem or opportunity that the person identifies, and then he creates a business model. Once they have created the business model, they identify the types of business model, they look for the components of business model, they have the strategy, they have the systems. Once everything is done, they finalize their product or service that they want to sell. They have a product and service in hand, and then they start for looking for customer. Where is the customer? And many a times they fail, because this way doesn't work. The way it works is, these are the visible actions. The way it works, the root is, there are hidden struggles, there is education, there is a person who recognizes his skills, attitude, and knowledge, who recognizes the self, his weaknesses and strength. Based on that, he takes a decision, identifies the problem or the opportunity. Then he goes with that idea or the problem, he goes to the customer or the audience and asks them, is this a real problem? Once they say yes, he makes a minimum viable, he identifies his minimum viable category and tries making the product that is minimum viable product. Again, he takes this minimum viable product for customer validation to the customer and tries to sell the initial orders, get the initial orders. If it works with the customer, he takes the feedback. If customer does not validate, he iterates it or pivots, again goes to the idea stage and repeats the cycle. If the customer validates it, then he becomes an entrepreneur and makes the business model out of this. Understands the type of business model, components of business model, makes the strategy and creates the system. Then comes the chance, final product. So he prepares the product. Here he has the final product or service that he wants to take, and he already has the customer or audience with him because they have validated him. They are already with him, and he takes it there. And here the answer is, where is the customer? Why do they fail? He's already in touch with the people. And if he's already in touch with the people, these are the 10 steps. If you obey these 10 steps, you will not fail. it will definitely lead to the success. It will already give you some base to work on. And these hidden struggles are called the actual foundations of success, which we tend to ignore or forget, and which are the root of our startup. And we don't see it works beneath the earth. These are the invisible actions that an entrepreneur, the successful entrepreneur, has to do. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. And if you want to learn more of these, I'll share my YouTube link. I've discussed most of the intrinsic and extrinsic skills there. So if you want, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Definitely, I will subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I hope all the participants who are watching, listening to YouTube or Facebook.
If you have these, you can ask this. And yes, obviously, you're welcome to the community. You're welcome to the Unbox Entrepreneurship that I'll be launching soon. So if you wish, you can join the VIP group from the Facebook, or you can find me anywhere with the name of Dr. Akshita Bahugna. And now I'm sharing a link, which is also the feedback link. And this feedback, besides this feedback, I have a link here. If you have any questions, you can ask me there, and you will get a written reply from our email on these.
Still, I have 3 questions in the session.
And we have the questions, we'll take it here as well. But if they have questions, they can ask me, and these questions would be answered.
Before I ask you any question, and I would like to share with you the opinion of one of the participants. He is director here. Kimberly. I think I am audible now. Very sorry for this technical glitch. Madam Akshita, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So I would like to share with you the opinion of our director, sir, and he is writing very informative for anybody how to start up. And one more thing, he has typed, Dr. Gunjan, this is one of the ever best talk during past. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy. Now I would like to ask some questions. The first question is, the new education policy emphasized on vocational education and self-employment. How it would add depth to the startup ecosystem in the country, as there are alarming dropouts till class 10.
Who says a class 10 dropout cannot do a startup?
Very true.
Who says this? Like, it is possible. There are many dropouts who cannot start. Problem is, they need an education that yes, they can start. The education policy, how it is supporting is, it is giving liberty to the student to understand. And that liberty of thought, maybe it is the implementation is a problem. Maybe we are talking about like too early about it. But yes, it is giving some liberty to the students to make decisions, to understand things. He can opt one subject eco and one football. And that liberty of working across the subjects and interdisciplinary mode is going to help students to work in a different way. I myself was a maths graduate, postgraduate, and then I did education, and then I did PhD in entrepreneurship. So like it always gives, like multidisciplinary subjects gives liberty to understand many things. And you people are the students of liberal arts and you understand these. That is why you have opted for a subject like this. The inclusion of liberal arts was because we needed people who can think in diverse ways, go to the depth of things. In the similar manner, entrepreneurship, maybe in recent future will have entrepreneurship or startup, something, subjects like these also exclusively for startup, not for management of business. There is a difference between two. Only for startup, because our startup is different. It is a temporary organization. Startup is a temporary organization there where the systems are built. And once it has come to the stage where the systems are dominion stage, after that, it is no more a startup. It is a business. We know how to manage the business and work the business. We don't know how to start a startup. That was a problem. The things that we have discussed here is something that a pre-startup stage, before startup. So a 10th class dropout, it doesn't have any problem to start if he is willing to work it out. Send that student to me. I'll tell him how to start. My student, I had a coaching institute and I had students who started in class 10th. They're not working the same organization today, but yes, they started earning. Their business was making profits for them, maybe small. And then as they graduated or moved ahead, they had a different plan. So it is possible. I started my PhD with this only, although the things changed later on, but I started it that we need these kind of things in the schools as well. So don't compare the failure of the formal system of education with the failure of the entrepreneurial society. And as far as the NAB is concerned, it is working with the people of different education. And NIOS is also doing good work. ICT is also doing, there are things they are doing, but they have limitations. So we are not here to point what are the flaws there. I'm solving the problem myself because educating an entrepreneur is something that I'm working on, and Future I-Think is doing it. So we are not like discussing what are the flaws in the government policies and what are the, well, how we can start our startup is something that is the answer. And if somebody fails in 10th, I can assure you, he or she can do a startup, provided that he or she wants to do it. It is possible. And I have enough case studies for this.
Yeah, formal education system works like a support. Sometimes I think the formal education has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. This is a very new fashionable word. I've seen so many persons, they are not well qualified and they are very successful businessmen, entrepreneurs, even politicians. They have, they can persuade so many people. People follow them blindly. So this is the art of speaking. So anybody can become an entrepreneur. Okay, now I'd like to ask the second question. While initiating a startup, multitasking is essential. It enables the founder to sustain the startup by cost cutting. Will the startup witness growth only with multitaskers?
There's a difference between multitasking and multi-switching. How we multitask is also a difference. Let me have an analogy. The way if we open many tabs in our laptop or computer or in our mobile, it slows down. Whereas if we work on one, then we close it, then we work on second, it speeds up the process. Same way, an entrepreneur needs to understand what are the priorities. The focus is the first thing that I've already said. So focus, prioritize what you need to do. What are the things that are important for you? Once you have identified those focus areas, only after that you need to multitask. Multitask means initially you don't have all the resources, so you have to learn all the systems by yourself. Once you know the systems, only then you can make others work on those systems. I'm repeating, once you know the system, you don't have to be master or an expert or a specialist of that, but at least you know the system, only then you can make others work on the same system. To make others work on the system, you need to know the business or know your product or things inside out. And that is a skill within the people management. To manage the people, you need to know what you want to get out of them. If he is an employee, you should know what you want from them. And if you know what you want from them, you should know how to get it done. If you can segregate what you want from your employee, You need to understand each and every step. You know, we have seen the JDs, that is job descriptions. What is that? The founder has analyzed everything. What are the things that the person needs to do? Only then he hires. It is not only for the person who's employing, who's applying for the job. It is also for the person who's employing. Like the founder even also needs to know what are the job description, what are the things he needs in the other person. So multitasking, yes, you need to understand each and every function of your business. I'm not saying you have to be an expert, but you have to understand each and every function, and only then you will be able to scale. If you are a startup entrepreneur, you're starting from zero or a scratch, you don't have any other system to support you. But if you have other systems to support you, and obviously then that is a different case. Then you don't have to multitask. Then you can outsource certain things at a first go itself. But still, it is advisable to learn first yourself so that you can take it further. You know, the Elon Musk. He has never done any technology education or bachelor's in engineering, but still he made electric car. Or how his SpaceX is working, how they are working is. So these like we see them when they grow big, but they struggle. Their journey started at attempt level and started reading the books on technology. That was the first step. We never knew him that time. But he started reading.
And if you allow one more question, ma'am. One of the participants wants to ask, there are lots of disparities among states incentivizing startup. Does it observe well for the balance is spread in growth of startup in the country?
One thing I would directly say that for me, intrinsic factors are more important. And you are again looking at the extrinsic factors only. If you want to start, there are ways to do that. I'm here to how to start a startup. I'm not here to tell you what are the government policies supporting you. Because government policies may support you or may not support you. If you want to start a startup, it is your preparation that matters. So if the states have different incentives, you can start your business in the next state where you think their incentives are more. Place. You can change your place. 4 P's of marketing mix. So you can change the place. That is your research. That is something that you need to do and understand. If you see there is a disparity, you can change your place and then bring your business back to the place. There are cases where the business was started in Kerala. Now it did not take, like it could not scale there. So they moved to Andhra Pradesh. This was like some batter that Idli batter company. I don't remember the name of the company, but they've moved to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. There they scaled up because there they had more sale. Once they scaled up, they came back to Kerala as well, and they're selling at more rates. Like initially they started at ₹10, then they moved there, they scaled, they got more customers in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and then they came back to Kerala, and they are a big brand company now, so they charge more than 100. So these are the ways people can work. You have to think of the ways. Entrepreneur is more important. Intrinsic factor is something that matters. So otherwise we'll keep on throwing the blame game to A, B, C. The government is not supportive. Bank is not giving me the loans. There are reasons to say no. There is just one reason to say yes. That is, I want to do this. So startup, initiating a startup, we don't look at excuses of why not. We look at how to get it done. That is important.
So such a really, I would say, such a wonderful enlightening session, thank you very much, ma'am, because, these things are very important. Most of the people, sometimes we know of these things, but the thing is we have to recall, sometimes, intrinsic things are important, but this type of session, this type of lecture, this type of delivery of lecture is very much important, for all the people. They can just realize their potential and they can just, they are ready to do something new, something original, and something good for the country and society and for themselves. So, first of all, I would like to thank God who has given us everything to do all the things. And then I would like to thank you, ma'am. I am very grateful to you that you have given us your valuable time. You are very busy still. You find time for us. And the session is really very enlightening, well structured, full of information. Not only students, but I think I believe all the faculty, all the people, they would be benefited. So I'm very thankful to you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. And next, the authority person, they always support my people. And then I'm very thankful to all the participants and our technical team. Thank you very much. And before I conclude this session, this is my choice. I love to pray to God. See, with the prayer, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhine, Sarve Sandhu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashintu, Makashit Bhagavate. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.